Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to today's session. Sorry about that. Welcome to today's session. So here we are continuing with our NCERT history textbooks, and we have reached the 12th standard textbook, and we are looking at the part 2 of themes in Indian history textbook of 12th standard. Okay, so this is the 4th lecture out of the 5 lecture part of this particular part, and the next session from me will be on Monday. Okay, so in Monday's lesson we will complete the part 2 of this particular textbook. Part 3 will start from Tuesday onwards, and when that part 3 is also over, the entire NCERT history for your UPSC is covered. Okay, so we will do that within a week, and that will be done. Also, please note that every day at 8 p.m. okay, except for Sunday, every day at 8 p.m. I have this quiz series that is happening in the Unacademy platform. Okay, please join me in this platform. The link is unacademy.com/@MSRW. Okay, unacademy.com/@MSRW. So please do follow me there. Also tonight also at 8 p.m. the quiz series is there. It is a 1-hour session. So 25 questions on ancient India. Okay, so let's begin for our classes for the day. So before moving on, as usual, let me just talk to you about Unacademy. Unacademy is India's largest learning platform, which offers you a wide variety of things, starting with daily live classes where you can chat and interact with your educator to clear your doubts, so and so. Then live tests and quizzes, which will help you to evaluate your preparation. Okay, give you a better perspective during the time of examination. And then you have structured courses where all the syllabus of a particular exam is covered, and unlimited access to all the Unacademy resources. So in order to get all these things, the first thing to do is download the Unacademy learning app. Okay, this can be done from Google Play as well as App Store. This is absolutely free, so please download the app anyway. Okay, also today at 5:30 p.m. I have to mention this, today at 5:30 p.m. I expect to complete this theory part by 5:30 p.m. and from 5:30 p.m. onwards I have a quiz on the Unacademy learning app. Okay, please download this app and be ready at 5:30 p.m. The quiz is based on environment and ecology. Okay, 50 questions, fully app based quiz. So be ready at 5:30 p.m. Okay, moving on. Yeah, I am Madhav Sankar R Warrier, and in order to get my PDFs, class notes, PDFs, articles, etc., please follow me in this particular Telegram channel, t.me/MSRW1. Also, you can follow me in my Unacademy platform, that is unacademy.com/@MSRW. Okay, so you won't miss any of the classes that I schedule. Unacademy brings you all the top educators from all over the country, and we have basically 2 kinds of subscription packages. One is the basic subscription, which I have so far talked to you about. Other one is known as the iconic. So in the basic package, which is also known as the plus package, you have these choices of the time period for which you have to subscribe. Okay, so a typical 1-year subscription will cost you 49,500 rupees. But if you use my code MSRW1, you can avail 10% reduction. Clear? The other package is known as iconic package, which is tailor-made for the UPSC aspirants. Here, these are the available packages, and over and above the plus package, you will be getting a personal coach, a personal trainer, which means a one-to-one kind of session with an educator who will be there to guide you throughout the exam preparation time. Okay, daily mains answer writing practice, study planner, personalized feedback sessions. All these will be provided to you in extra if you go for the iconic subscription. Again, here also using my code will provide you 10% discount. Finally, regarding the optional subjects, these are the available packages. So Unacademy provides you with almost all the optional subjects that the UPSC comes up with. So please do take a look at them, and you can pick one of your favorite subjects and start learning. And the rates for which are shown here. Please understand that for any subscription that is greater than or equal to 6 months in time, you can avail no cost EMI facility. Okay, greater than or equal to 6 months subscription, you can avail the no cost EMI or equated monthly installment facility for fee payment. Okay, so that is it regarding the subscription packages. If you have any queries regarding all these things, you can ask me. I will help you with it. Okay, and please understand that I will look the comments. Okay, I mean I can see the YouTube comments that you are posting. I will look at it after the end of each slide. Okay, so if you ask something and I did not reply immediately, please be patient and wait. At the end of each slide, I will look at it and give you the answer. Okay, so let me just see. Hello Seema, good evening. Good evening Ramkumar. I have not studied environment regulation. Should I attend the test? Sir, check my question. Okay, Ashi Agrahari, it doesn't matter. You can attend anyway. Alright. I mean, even if you are not prepared, you can still attend the test. Maybe your score will be less, but that doesn't mean anything here. It will give you some more practice. Okay, try to answer the questions logically. I mean, in UPSC also you can expect questions from parts which you have not studied. Okay, so how will you answer it? You can test it in these kinds of mock tests. Okay, so let's begin. So theme 8, peasants, zamindars and the state. Agrarian Society and the Mughal Empire. So that is the topic for us for today. Okay, so yesterday we saw about the Vijayanagara Empire, and today we are looking at the fourth portion of this textbook, that is Agrarian Society and the Mughal Empire. So as an introduction, as always, we start with a very basic overview of what we are going to study today. So we are going to look at a particular time period that is between 16th and 17th centuries. Okay, this is the time frame we are looking at, the time when Mughals were ruling India. Okay, understand that at this time, about 85% of the Indian population lived in rural area or in villages. Okay, what does this mean? This means that only a very limited or a very handful of people were actually accustomed to the city and the city life and associated activities. So major portion of India was still in agriculture. Clear? Even now, consider modern day 2020. Even now, the lion's share of India's population is surviving with agriculture as their profession. That hasn't changed much. Okay, so the rural setup was very much, very specific. For example, it wasn't uniform. It had different classes, different sections, different castes, some kind of hierarchy within itself. Okay, so we had peasants and landed elites, for example. Some of them were ordinary peasants. Some of them were actually rich people who owned large amounts of land. Okay, also because of these hierarchies and variations, there existed some kind of relationship, some kind of competition, some kind of conflict. Okay, so we will look into each and every kind of relationship that existed in the rural society in depth in today's chapter. So rural world was not actually isolated. Okay, this doesn't mean that the city life and the urban rural life are not at all connected or anything. It is not like isolated. There often was some kind of connection or some kind of overview into the rural area by the urban elites. For example, when the Mughals came to India, when they established their state, they used to send revenue assessors, collectors, record keepers, all these people to the rural area. Why? Because agriculture and land revenue was the chief source of Mughal income. Okay, so in order to get a good overview of their own empire, Mughals often sent these kinds of officers. You might have heard of them, Samaharta, Sannidada, these kinds of people, okay, were always sent into rural areas in order to, assess the revenue and to collect them. Clear? So in the rural area, earlier, okay, before the arrival of Mughals and all, mostly this agriculture was for subsistence. Okay, subsistence method of agriculture. What does this mean? This means agriculture is done for creating food, for sustaining, that's all. Commercialization was not in their mind at that time. But from now onwards, we see that some of the crops are cultivated for the purpose of exports, which means agriculture is changing from a subsistence pattern into a commercial pattern. And we will see that this pace very much accelerates during the time of East India Company, that is in the modern India part. Clear? So this is the basic overview. So we are going to see how do we know about all these things. What was the setup? How did the Mughals conducted this administration? How was the life of a peasant in the rural area? Okay, we will see all these things in today's chapter. Ready? Yeah, moving on. Peasants and agricultural production. That is the first topic. The headings are all as per your NCERT textbook only. Okay. The points I have taken from the paragraph. I have condensed the paragraph as such. First one, basic unit of agricultural society was the village. This is very logical and very easy to guess. Okay, in a rural setup, the basic unit of this of a social social group is a village. It's always like that. Okay, so the farmers, the peasants, everybody together tilled the soil, seeds were sown, crops were harvested. These are the basic agricultural practices which often was practiced for a very long time. This continued even this time. But along with the normal practices, some agro-based goods such as sugar and oil also became very prominent. Okay, usually people cultivate rice, wheat. These are the usual cultivations. Why? Because these are the common diet of Indians. Okay, but sugar and oil became extremely important around this time. Why? Because these two were commercial crops, especially produced for the purpose of exporting. Clear? Because India is a very diverse country. Our geography is also very much diverse. For example, we have hilly terrains in the northeastern region. We have plateau in the central India. We have the Gangetic Valley. Okay, so different terrain. So because of this diverse terrain, large tracts of dry lands or hilly regions were not cultivable. Okay, for example, the northwestern part of India. This is a semi-arid or a arid region. It is not easily cultivable. Similarly, the rocky areas of certain mountain slopes or hilly regions cannot be cultivated. Okay, so there were cultivable lands and non-cultivable lands. Understand that even in this 16th and 17th century, people has not explored India in its entirety. Okay, what does this mean? This means that some area of India is yet to be brought under agriculture. A huge portion of India was forest. Okay, substantial area of India was actually still forested. We will see that as commercial agriculture started to increase, more and more land is brought under agriculture. And people started to encroach into the forests. And we will see that forests are cut down, trees are cut down, agricultural land is expanded. The tribal people often comes in quarrel with the rural people. We will see that there is some change in the social habits of tribals as well as rurals. Clear? So this is how agriculture is expanding in the 17th and 16th centuries. Looking for the sources. So where do we get all these ideas? I mean, we are talking about some 500 years back. Okay, how do we know about all these things? That's the first question. Obviously, there are plenty of sources here. Okay, this is not ancient times. This is only the medieval India. So in the medieval times, it is easy for us to understand a lot of things, especially because of the availability of a lot of literary works. When I taught you Indus Valley Civilization, I told you that one of the major challenges that the historians faced was the lack of literary sources and also unable to decipher the Indus Valley script. This was their major concern. But in the medieval society, in the medieval India, there are plenty of literary sources and the language used is also very familiar to modern world. So for example, Sanskrit or maybe Prakrit, some dialects of Prakrit, the Kharoshti script, the Brahmi script, everything is very much understandable for the significant section of the historians. Okay, so the sources for agrarian history mainly included chronicles and documents from the Mughal court. We do not have anything from the peasants themselves. Okay, the peasants cultivated and they were the people who actually lived this life, but they did not write down or they did not construct any literary work by their own. So we do not have anything from their end. Everything that we know is through the court chronicles of Mughals. The best example is the very famous book of Anyakbar. Good evening, Supriya. Welcome. So the best example is the Anyakbar. Anyakbar is authored by Akbar's court historian Abul Fazl. You know about this person, right? Abul Fazl. Abul Fazl is a very famous person in the court of Akbar. He wrote Akbar's biography known as Akbarnama. Understand that Anyakbari is actually the third part of Akbarnama. Okay, Akbarnama, the book has three parts, part 1, part 2 and part 3. And third part is known as Anyakbar. Clear? So in this book, there are lots and lots of information regarding the land revenue system, administration, and so on and so on. So recorded the arrangements made by the state to ensure cultivation, to enable collection of revenue by the agencies of the state, to regulate the relationship between state and rural magnates, that is the zamindars. So everything that happened in this administrative area was recorded in the Anyakbar. Okay, but the problem with Anyakbar is that this is a view from the top. Okay, I mean Abul Fazl is a person who is in Akbar's court, which obviously means he is a very noble person, or maybe he is a from the high class section of the society. So when he writes these records, what will happen? He will write in the perspective of that class of people. Okay, not from the perspective of a poor man, not from the perspective of a common man. So this book has this particular defect. So in order to eliminate this defect, historians often read Anyakbar along with some other sources of evidence. And these sources include the revenue records in Gujarat, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, etc., that is dating from 17th and 18th centuries. Okay, rather than going by a single source, they often append it with other sources or materials. And together they can construct a very beautiful idea of what happened. Also, English East India Company was very much prominent at this time. In the 17th century or in the year 1600, English East India Company came to India. You know the story, right? So once they started their trading in India, they made sure that they kept proper records of everything. This is one of the biggest advantages of the British coming to India. Whatever they have or whatever they did, they had proper records of all these things. So East India Company's records were very useful for the historians while going through the Mughal era. Okay. Good evening, Saubhagya. Welcome. Peasants and their lands. Okay. So in the Mughal period, the Indo-Persian from the Indo-Persian sources, these peasants and these agricultures were actually called as Rayat, or in the plural, Raya or Muzarian. These were the terms used for describing farmers or peasants. Okay, but in Indian textbooks, in the indigenous textbooks, we see two other terms. For example, Kisan. Kisan is a very common, even now the same word is used. Then Asami. These are the Indian counterparts of these words. Also, we see a kind of classification. The entire category of peasants are classified into two. Number one, Khud Kashta, and number two, Pahi Kashta. Okay, so who is Khud Kashta and who is Pahi Kashta? Khud Kashta are peasants who owned their own land. Okay, and they cultivated in their own land. They put their labor in their own land. Pahi Kashta are those people who did not have land on their own, so they have to work in somebody else's field. Okay, worked in another's field. So this is the main difference, Khud Kashta and Pahi Kashta. Okay, so Khud Kashta, it is very logical. If you have a land of your own, then you will definitely work there. Pahi Kashta, it is a bit, we have to study that in a bit depth. Because Pahi Kashta can be both forced as well as voluntary. For example, consider a modern day scenario in 2020. Okay, suppose you are working in a corporate company. Okay, corporate company X. And when you are working there, corporate company Y announces that they have a better salary package. So you will migrate from X to Y. Obviously, you will resign at X and you will join Y. So here also the same thing can be seen. Pahi Kashtas often migrated to a different land if they had favorable conditions there. So this is voluntary. And sometimes Pahi Kashtas are forced to work in a different land because of their living conditions. Because they cannot find any job and their living condition was extremely miserable and they had no option but to work for someone else. Okay, so we can see both choice as well as compulsion in the group of Pahi Kashtas. Cultivation was based on the principle of individual ownership. So the land was owned by the individual and he was responsible. It was his responsibility to conduct agriculture in these areas. This land could be sold, mortgaged or whatever. the entire ownership of this property was on the hands of the landowner, whoever it is. Maybe it is the peasant, maybe it is a zamindar, or whatever. Okay, so this was the setup of peasants and their lands in medieval India. Irrigation and technology. So now we know about the land. Now we know about the people who were working there. Now let's look at how this was irrigated. Okay, one big feature of Indian monsoon is that it is very much erratic. You cannot expect to get a sufficient quantity of rain from it. I mean, it's always variable. Even now, right? I mean, the Indian Meteorological Department will say something and something else will happen. We have seen this many times. It is very much undependable. Okay, so even in those times, peasants always used to put their emphasis or put their faith in the monsoons. But you cannot be 100% sure that you will get a good amount of rain, or maybe you will get extra rain. That will also ruin their crop. Okay, so the administrators, especially the Mughals, they came up with setting up a lot of irrigation facilities by incorporating various technologies. Okay, now let's look at this slide. Abundance of land, availability of labor, and mobility of peasants. This led to the expansion of agriculture. Abundance of land, this is true. I already told you a major portion of India was still under forests, which means it is owned by nobody. Okay, so people can actually cut down the trees and encroach into that land as well. Then availability of labor. There were plenty. I mean, Indian population was even then in a very good number, and there was other 85% of the population was still in the rural area, which means there is no lack of manual labor. Okay, and finally, mobility of the peasants. Peasants will definitely migrate from one part to another part in search of work, in search of favorable conditions. So these three factors contributed to the expansion of agriculture. Okay, and the main crops included rice, wheat, millets, etc., etc. These were the predominantly cultivated crops. Even now, it is the same. In South India, the main crop is rice. North India, it is wheat. Same thing even in the modern day. Okay, so in those areas where rainfall was above 40 inches, which means very heavy rainfall. Okay, in those areas where rainfall was like 250 centimeters or 40 inches, rice was produced. Because rice is a crop that needs lots and lots of amount of water. You know how rice is cultivated, so you get the point. Okay, so based on the availability of water, crops are also chosen. Clear? So basically, monsoon remained the backbone of Indian agriculture. Clear? I think that is a very understandable point. Even now, the same is continued. Okay, but as monsoons are not that much dependable, some artificial systems of irrigations were also constructed. For example, new canals. Canals are also known as Nahar and Nala. These terms are very much important for UPSC. Please study them. Okay, I want all of you to, after sitting in this session, you must read your chapter in NCERT textbook at least once. That is very important. Okay, don't think that this is it and we can move to the next one. No, at least read the textbook one time. Alright, now artificial systems of irrigation including new canals, and also repair the old ones like the Shah Nahar in the Punjab during Shah Jahan's reign. Okay, so earlier ones that needed renovation was done, some things new were constructed. Peasants also started using technologies that often harnessed cattle energy. Okay, rather than going by steam engines or anything like that, which comes very later. Peasants actually started using technologies that often worked using the cattle power. So what can be the best example? Wooden plow. Okay, so what is the advantage of a wooden plow compared to an iron plow or something like that? Wooden plow is comparatively of less weight. Correct, right? Only the tip of that wood is made of iron. Otherwise, it is completely made of wood. So the advantage is it is less weight, which means it will not go too much deep into the soil. True. So what is the advantage here? If it does not go too much deep into the soil, only the top soil will be, messed up with. Clear? So the soil moisture is retained. Rather, if you use an iron plow and dig all the way deep down, what will happen? The entire soil loses its moisture because it gets exposed to the atmosphere straight away and will lose the moisture. Okay, so use of wooden plow actually was a great idea in the medieval time cultivation. Clear? Abundance of crops. So basically, based on these monsoon cycles, based on these seasonal cycles, India had two kinds of crops. Okay, at that time, farmers growed two types of crops. One is known as the Kharif or the autumn crop. Other one is known as the Rabi or the spring crop. I think this is very much, even now it's the same, nothing different. Okay, so at least a minimum of two crops per year was grown in India in these times. Two crops per year. And this system is known as Do Fasla. Two crops, that's it, Do Fasla. Okay, but in certain other regions, even three crops were grown. Based on the fertility of the land and based on the availability of water, number of crops increased. Okay, so this kinds of advancements in the field of agriculture led to the diversification of the produce. More and more types of crops began to be grown. Okay, at the same time, the quantity also started to increase because more and more land were brought under agriculture. Clear? New water harvesting systems and irrigation systems were put in place. Okay, so there is another concept known as Jins-i-Kamil. Okay, what is this Jins-i-Kamil? The literary word meaning is perfect crops. Okay, so Mughal state encouraged peasants to cultivate such crops as they brought more revenue. So basically, this is a version of commercial cultivation, commercial crops, Jins-i-Kamil. Okay, Jins-i-Kamil. So for example, you have cotton, sugarcane, so and so. So Indian cotton is extremely famous all over the world, even at those times, and these were exported to other parts of the world, other kingdoms, other countries, etc., etc. Okay, so these kinds of crops, or let's say cash crops, are also known as Jins-i-Kamil. Okay. Let me just explain to you once again. If you have any queries, you can ask me in the YouTube live chat. I will look at the chat at the end of each of these slides. Okay, only at the end. If in between you put something, I won't be seeing that. At the end, I will look at it and give you the answer at the end of each slide. Okay, moving on. So cotton. Cotton is one of the major exports of India even now. Okay, not just in the medieval times. Even now it is the same. So cotton is grown in the Deccan Plateau region. Why? Because due to the availability of this Deccan traps, the central India is covered with black soil, and black soil is excellent for the cultivation of cotton. Okay, so due to this, cotton was very much abundant in India. But the condition of Bengal was different. Okay, in Bengal we have many deltaic regions, many rivers, etc., etc. So it was more prominent for sugar. Later, jute also. Okay, so based on the geographical factors, India had a multiple variety. Okay, India was a multiverse of crops. Okay, so subsistence and commercial production were closely intertwined. So for some section of farmers used to grow rice, wheat, etc., etc., which was for subsistence. The other section used to grow these commercial crops. So both of them went in hand in hand. Clear? So Indian agriculture in the medieval period was a interlink of both subsistence as well as commercial agriculture. By the time of 17th century, when the Europeans started arriving in India, or maybe not just Europeans, other foreigners also, when they started coming to India, they brought with them some new kinds of crops. Okay, non-indigenous crops, some exotic crops. For example, maize, tomatoes, potatoes, chili, pineapple, papaya. These are not originally Indian crops. Okay, these were actually introduced in India by the Europeans. And Indian climate was also very much accommodative for these crops. So eventually this became very famous in India also. That is how it started in India. For example, Portuguese. Portuguese were the people who brought the chilies, potatoes, etc., etc. Spanish brought the maize here. Okay, so arrival of foreign powers also led to the diversification of Indian agriculture. Clear? So look at how diverse Indian agriculture is, and look at what are the factors that contributed for this diversity. Okay, it is not just geography. It is the topography, it is the climate, it is the social setup, it is the arrival of foreigners. Okay, so all these are different perspectives. So if in the mains a question comes regarding the agriculture in medieval India, you can actually put all these points, different perspectives. It will give you an edge over the other candidate. Okay, moving on. The village community. So we now have a basic idea of agriculture and how it is done. Now let's look at the village community in depth. Agriculture production involved intensive participation and initiative of the peasant. So obviously, agriculture is a very labor-intensive process. Okay, even now, even after the arrival of high funda machineries, Indian agriculture is still very much labor-intensive. Why? Okay, one of the drawbacks of Indian agriculture in the modern day, okay, I am adding this extra point here. One of the drawbacks in Indian agriculture in the modern day is the lack of land consolidation. Okay, you have heard of this prairies in Northern America, right? Prairies. Okay, these prairies are extensive, huge wheatlands. So because the land is extensive and very huge, you can actually, use heavy machineries and you can invest on hi-fi technology, etc., etc. But in Indian setup, the land is extremely fragmented. Small farms, each person owning a very, say 1 acre or 2 acre land, and it is not consolidated properly. Which means what? There is not enough or adequate investment into the farming sector. This is one of the major challenges that India faces today in the field of agriculture. Okay, lack of proper land consolidation and land defragmentation. Okay, moving on. So peasants held their land in individual ownership. Already I explained this, so I am not going to repeat the same. So they belong to a collective village community as far as many aspects of their social existence were concerned. So even though these land are held by individual ownership, still each of these peasant is a part of the community that they live in. Correct. So in a village, you have this village panchayat. So the peasants might be owning that particular piece of land all by his own, but that does not mean he is, completely independent of everything. He is still a part of the society and he has to abide by the social laws that are prevalent in that place. Okay. So in a typical setup, in a typical community of the rural India, there are 3 constituents. Number 1, the cultivators or the peasants or whatever. The panchayat, that is the number 2. And the number 3rd is village headman. Okay, peasant or the cultivator. Then panchayat, that is the group of people who do the administration of the village. And then the village headman, who is the supreme authority of that particular unit area. Okay, so village headman during the time of Mughal period is also known by the names Mukkadam or Mandal. Don't forget, Mukkadam is the village headman. I have seen this particular question in many mock test papers of UPSC Prelims. Okay, Mukkadam, it is village headman. Don't confuse it. Caste and rural merit. So this is, I think, needless to say, in medieval India, Indian society was extremely, discriminated based on caste and religion. Okay, so inequalities on the basis of caste existed everywhere, not just in rural setup, but also in urban setup. Okay, so sizable number of people who worked in these agricultural lands did the job of menials. Okay, what does this menial mean? Menial means very, very basic jobs. They are not going to get out of poverty by doing this job. Okay, they will maybe all that they do is till the soil, or maybe their only job is to say make sure the water is properly spread all over the field. Okay, so these kinds of menial jobs, rather than adding as an investor, or rather than be contributing into producing profit, they did the menial jobs. So this was not actually a choice. Some sections of the society was forced to do these menial jobs by the oppressive class, that is the upper classes or the more influential people. This is how we see that a division between the rich and poor starts occurring in the rural setup. So those people who had their own agricultural land started to produce more and more profit and become more and more rich, while those people who did not had any of these resources continued to stay poor and became even more poor. Okay, so we see an economic divide developing in the medieval agricultural economy between different sections of the society. Okay, so these poor people also were part, in the lower castes. It is also true. They are economically they are low, but in society also they are considered as a very lower caste people. So both socially and economically, a major section of Indian society was oppressed during the medieval times. Clear? So we see that even today, some of it is still continuing. And this is also one of the reasons we have adequate checks and balances in our constitution, providing some reservations for certain classes, etc., etc. If you have read your constitution, you will know that there is reservation for socially and educationally backward people. Okay, now economically also. So the basis of all this lies back in these periods, like 500 years ago or 400 years ago or whatever. Clear? So constrained by their position in the caste hierarchy, much like the Dalits of modern India. This is what I just told you. Just like the Dalits of modern India, they were facing very much oppression by the superior castes. This is not just a factor in the Hindu community. The same happened in the Muslim community as well. Muslim communities, menials like the halal crone, that is the scavengers, were housed outside the boundaries of the village. They were not even allowed to settle within the village. Similarly, the Mallazadas, they are actually the sons of boatmen in Bihar. They were comparable to slaves. Okay, so irrespective of the religion, these kinds of hierarchies existed in major chunk of the Indian subcontinent. Okay, so we can conclude that there is a direct correlation between the caste, poverty and social status of lower strata of the society. Okay, so in the lower strata of the society, there is a direct correlation between caste, poverty and social status. So if you are in a lower caste, obviously you will also be poor and you will be considered as a lower, you will be looked down upon by the higher classes. Clear? So that is basically the conclusion of this particular slide. Very important point, this is not visible in the intermediary classes. Okay, so in the lower strata of the society, this is very much prominent, but in the intermediate level of the society, this distinction or this hierarchy is not that much prominent. It is much more closer intertwined. Okay, moving on. Panchayat and headman. Okay, so what is a village panchayat? I think you all know about village panchayats. If you have studied about our 73rd Constitution Amendment, you will know all about this. Okay, so village panchayat was an assembly of elders. Elders means, very learned and educated and influential people in the village. Probably, high aged and experienced people. Okay, these people, elderly people, together came to form what is known as village panchayat. Also, the people who composed this village panchayat had hereditary rights over their own property. This was one of the basic qualifications in order to become a member of the village panchayat. You need your own property. There is a property qualification. Okay. Also, the system of administration in a village panchayat is known as oligarchy. So, can you tell me what is oligarchy? There are many kinds of administrations or many methods of ruling. For example, autocracy, which means a single ruler will rule. Monarchy, same thing. Oligarchy is a different kind. Oligarchy means a group of people are actually ruling together, taking decisions. Okay, if you remember in the Mahajanapadas, when I taught you about Vajji kingdom, Vajji kingdom, I talked that Vajji is one of the first oligarchies in the world. Okay, Vajji. So not one of the first oligarchies. Okay, not the first one, one of them. The early times we see this as an example. So in an oligarchy, multiple people ruled together. Okay, so this represented various castes and communities of the village. So the elderly people were from different sections of the society and different castes, etc., etc. So this oligarchy was very much heterogeneous. It is not a homogeneous organization. Any decision taken by this oligarchy is binding on the people. Okay, any decision taken by this oligarchy is binding throughout that village. Understand that in this oligarchy, some of the sections were excluded. For example, those lower strata of the society who are extremely poor and does not own any land, etc., etc. Okay, so those sections are not allowed to participate in the village panchayat, but even they are bounded by the decisions taken by this panchayat. Okay. Smrati Singh, Sari NCERT nahi karenge. Yes, I have. This is actually my ongoing series. I have started from NCERT class 6. Okay, I have started this like a month ago, and now I have completed class 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and now it is the 12th standard textbook that is going on. This will be completed by the end of next week. Okay, history textbooks. I am taking history, so history textbooks. Moving on. So the village headman is also known as Mukkadam or Mandal. Already I told you this in the previous slide. He is actually chosen through the consensus of the village elders. Okay, rather than a particular form of election, it is mostly about consensus. The village elders together come up with a single name. Not only that, this person has to be ratified by the Zamindar also. Otherwise, he will not get the chance to rule. Okay, so Zamindar held a very strong position in the rural life of the Indian medieval society. How? You know it now. Okay, so this person, this village headman, held office as long as he enjoyed the confidence of village elders. So there is no tenure or anything. If you are in, that doesn't mean you are going to rule for a 5 years or 2 years or anything like that. He will be in that post as long as the village elders are happy with him. The moment there is a clash between them, his job will go. Okay, the village elders has the power to take him back. The main aim or main duty of this village headman is to supervise the preparation of village accounts, assisted by the accountant or kotwar of the panchayats. This is the basic duty. Overall supervise the village accounts with the help of some other functionaries in the panchayat. The main fund of the village panchayat came from individuals donating into a common pool of money. Okay, at that time, village panchayats did not levy too much taxes. Some things were there, but the major contribution or the major source of their funds were the voluntary contributions made by the people of that village to the common pool. So these funds were used for many purposes. But unfortunately, one of the main purposes which this fund was utilized was actually to pay away the revenue officials who often visited the villages. So the Mughal revenue officials who used to come to the village to assess various things, they were actually bribed or paid off using this financial pool. Unfortunately, a good amount of money was used to bribe these officials. Okay. Also, some portion of their revenue were used for constructing, infrastructures. For example, small dams or some water harvesting structures, some small buildings, etc., etc. Okay. So these construction activities also were met using this particular fund. So supervising this is also one of the job of village headman. Among all the jobs, the most important job of a village headman in the medieval society was to make sure that the caste boundaries were kept properly. Which means a person belonging to one particular caste should do his caste job only. He should not do something else. So if you are a blacksmith or if you belong to the family of a blacksmith, then you are supposed to do smithery only, nothing else. You cannot, jump into carpentry. Carpentry is for the carpentry castes. I mean, there is a caste associated with carpentry. It is for them. So maintaining caste boundaries is one of the most important functions of a village headman. So if somebody, breaks this law, then this person, the village panchayat, has the power to punish that person and even outcast that person. You might have heard about this, this very common punishment of outcasting. Okay, that was very prevalent even in the medieval Indian period. So just like the village was composed of multiple castes, just like each religion is divided into multiple castes, some castes were even divided further. Okay, I mean, religion is divided into caste and caste is now divided into jatis. Okay, jati. Jati in the sense, jati panchayat. Okay, not jati. Jati is as synonymous to caste. Jati panchayat, sorry. Okay, each of them had its own jati panchayat. And these panchayats mediated in contested claims of land, decided whether marriages were performed in accordance to the norms laid down by the particular caste, and finally determined who had the ritual precedence in village functions. Every social aspect of life in a village is controlled by Jati Panchayat. That is what we can understand from here. They decide who can marry whom. They will decide who has the power to perform rituals. They will decide who can claim the land, etc., etc. Okay, so Jati Panchayat is a very powerful organization in the medieval rural India. So in the eyes of, obviously Jati Panchayats were, dominated by powerful sections of the society. Obviously, there is no representation from the lower strata of the society, the poor people. So sometimes these poor people often complained or filed petition against these Jati Panchayats to the higher authorities. Okay, so in the eyes of these petitioners, the right to basic minimum for survival was a sanction by custom. That is true, right? I mean, everybody has a right to live. Okay, right to life. So you need that basic minimum for survival. So if the Jati Panchayat is actually curtailing that or is acting as an inhibition to that, these people often used to escalate the complaint to a next level. Okay, so they regarded the village panchayat as a court of appeal that would ensure that the state carried out its moral obligations and guaranteed justice. So if the Jati Panchayat gives a verdict against them, they will appeal to the village panchayat. Village panchayat is the next level body. Okay, so Jati Panchayat is regarding all the Jatis, the caste heads are in this group, and village panchayat will have representation from a wider sections of the society of that particular village. So that is often considered as an appellate authority of jurisdiction. Clear? Moving on. So how did they arrive at a compromise, or how did these panchayats actually solve the issue? The major way of solving the issue was arriving at some kind of compromise. Okay, they did not often give out punishments or anything. The number one method by which they solved all these issues was trying to arrive at some kind of compromise. So sometimes they went for extreme measures also. Some punishments were granted. For example, if they do not like the verdict, the entire people will desert that village. Okay, a huge section of the society will desert that village. So what will happen? That village will collapse. The village economy will collapse. So this is a threat that loomed around in the medieval times. So the relatively easy availability of the uncultivated land and the competition over labor resources made this an effective weapon in the hands of cultivators. This is true. Okay, I mean, if you threaten that a lot of people are actually going to abandon or desert that village, this will be taken very seriously by the village elder. Why? Because if they abandon the village, they are not coming back. Why? Because there is plenty of unowned land out there. They will settle somewhere else, they will bring that land under cultivation and they will become prosperous there. Okay, and this village will go down because there is adequate agricultural land, but there is no manual force now. People has deserted that village. So this kind of threat was effectively used by the lower strata of the society to put the authorities in check. Okay, so this was the balance. This threat was the balance. Clear? Village artisans. So, at times the distinctions between artisans and peasants in the village society was fluid one, as many groups perform the tasks of both. So this is also true. An agriculture person may not always be in agriculture. Okay, even now we do not call a person as a cultivator or an agriculturist. We say that he works in the agriculture and allied areas. Correct? Allied areas will include what? Some kind of cottage industry maybe, or some kind of livestock farming, something like that. Correct? So even in those medieval times, a person will not stick to agriculture alone. Okay, why? Because India had two cropping seasons. I already told you this. One is Kharif, other is Rabi. So there is a small gap between sowing of the seeds and harvesting, right? There is some lull area. So this time period was used by the peasants and cultivators to do some other jobs. Rather than sitting idle, they often practice some other jobs. For example, dyeing, textile printing, baking and firing of pottery, making and repairing agricultural implements. Clear? So all these some kind of associated activities were also conducted by these agricultural peasants. Phases in the agriculture calendar when there was a relative lull in the activity were a time when cultivators could engage in artisanal production. Okay, so cultivators actually went into artisanal productions during this idle period in between two crop seasons. Village artisans provided specialized services. This is true. So artisans, not agriculturists, the traditional artisans, they used to provide specialized services. For example, blacksmith will do the blacksmithery. Goldsmith will work with the gold. So these are specialized activities. Okay. So in return for these activities, they are actually provided a part of the harvest by the agriculturist or is allotted a piece of land. Okay, so this is how the barter system worked at that time. The artisans will provide the cultivators with some kind of tools or some kind of other machineries, and in return they will get a part of the produce, or maybe a small portion of land will be assigned to them. This is how the rural economy interdepended on each other. Okay, so such land which were allotted to these artisans were known as miras or watan. Okay, miras or watan, and these have hereditary property. Okay, miras or watan, which is actually given to an artisan in return for his specialized work, is actually a hereditary property. Don't forget. Clear? There is another variant also. Rather than providing him with land, or rather than providing him with a part of this agricultural produce, there is another variant, and this variant was a system where artisans and individual peasant households entered into a manually negotiated system of remuneration, most of the times goods for services. So this system is also known as the Jajmani system. Have you heard about this Jajmani system, also known as the master system? Here what they do is, even before they start working, they will come at a compromise, or some will come at a negotiation, according to which they will do the work, and in return for their work they will be provided something, probably some kind of good rather than cash. Okay, for example, if a peasant goes to work in someone else's farm, then according to Jajmani system, the peasant will work in the farm for the set period, and in return the peasant will get a bag of grain, or maybe a bag of vegetables, or whatever. Okay, so this kind of system is known as Jajmani system, a pre-negotiated system. Clear? So these are the variants of village economy, how they between artisans and cultivators. Little Republic. What is this Little Republic? This is actually a name coined by the British officials who came to India in the 1600s. Okay, so when they came to India and they saw this village administration, they started calling the Indian villages Little Republic. Okay, why? Because village worked as a basic unit of administration. It was the everything was there. The decisions were taken by a proper authority, like the village panchayat. There is a village headman looking into everything. There is an established law based on custom practices, etc., etc. Okay, so everything was very beautifully organized, just like a country, but smaller in size. So because of this, British officials called it a Little Republic. Okay, but understand that you should not confuse this with the idea of egalitarianism. Republic, the idea of republic comes with a lot of modern day concepts, but British people calling Indian villages a Little Republic does not mean that. Yeah, network issue was there. I'm sorry regarding that. Okay, there was a power out. Okay, I mean there is yeah, the network issue is still there. I am expecting some more disruptions in between. Okay, sorry for that. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, let's see how it. I think I'm back online. Let me just see. Okay, please give me a while. 1 second, guys. Yeah, I think now I am back online. I hope further disruptions will not be there. Sorry about that. There was a power outage and something happened with the internet also. Okay. Anyway, let's continue our session regarding women in agrarian society. Okay, so already I mentioned to you that there were many kinds of social hierarchies and social discriminations in this society. So just like the caste system, the religion, the economic difference, etc., etc., gender discrimination was also very much prevalent. Okay, and obviously women were considered as second-class citizens. So men and women, however, worked in the agricultural fields. Okay, although there was this gender discrimination, both men as well as women worked in agricultural fields. Men used to do all the physical, difficult jobs. For example, those jobs which involved too much physical activity, say tilling or plowing, etc., etc. Women did the other activities. For example, the sowing of seeds, weeding, threshing, winnowing, and during the time of harvest, all these things were done by women. Okay, so this was the entire agricultural activity was actually divided between both men and women almost equally. Clear? So the nucleated villages and the expansion in the individuated peasant farming and the basis of production was labor and resources of the entire household. Okay, so this expanding and under, okay, which means what? Which means the entire family member, the whole family has to put their effort into the field, because more and more land is coming under agriculture each day, and labor force is not enough actually. I mean, everybody has to put in their work. Okay, so agriculture was an activity that was conducted by the entire household, entire family. Clear? So biases related to women's biological functions did, however, continue. So although women were allowed to take part in the agricultural activities and not were just confined into houses or anything, still discrimination existed based on some of the biological functions of women. And I think you already know what I'm talking about. For example, menstruation. Okay, during the time of menstruation, women were not allowed to take the plow, or women were not allowed to enter the agricultural field, etc., etc. Clear? Same went for artisanal activities also. During the time of menstruation, women were not supposed to do craft production or pottery or spinning, etc., etc. Clear? However, usually on other times, women actually dominated the craft session. Spinning, weaving. So those spinning and creating pottery or clay models. These were jobs in which women were predominantly used in the medieval Indian times. Okay, why? Because these were the commercial products. These products were mainly built for export, not subsistence. These exported products earns a lot of money. Okay, so this attracted more and more people into the industry, and people actually tried to put more labor force into such profitable areas of operation. Clear? So women were also taking part in the agriculture and craft activities in the medieval periods. Clear? Moving on. Women were considered an important source in agrarian society, also because they were child bearers in the society depending on labor. Also correct. Women were known as even now known as the child bearers, which means they produce more and more children, right? So because of this fact, and because this agricultural economy needs a lot of manual labor, women were very much important in that perspective also, because they can provide more and more children and more labor into the agricultural fields. Okay, yeah. So one of the main problems because of all this setup in the medieval times was the high mortality rates among women. Women used to die because of various reasons. For example, malnutrition. Malnutrition was very prevalent, especially in the lower rungs of the society. Frequent pregnancies. Okay, and I mean, there was no proper family planning or anything at that time. So frequent pregnancies often resulted in poor health of the women and maybe even death. Death during childbirth, which is also known as the maternal mortality. That is even now very much prevalent. Okay, so all in all, this meant that there was a shortage of wives. okay, the number of females per males in the society was actually very less. Clear? Because of this, in those times, rather than giving dowry, it was something known as the bride price. Very recently, we have something like dowry, right? I mean, it is illegal and all, but this is sections of society used to practice this dowry, okay, which means the family of the girl has to pay the family of the boy. But here, when a time occurred when the number of girls were less in the society, it was the other way around. The family of the boy used to pay the family of the girl. This is known as bride price. So bride price came up as a result of the conditions prevalent in medieval India. Okay, even though all these things happened, still the basic unit of the society, which is a family, was headed by a male member. The eldest male of that family is the head of that particular family. And women were kept under strict control by the male members and the family and the community. Okay, the male person was the dominant in the family. While male infidelity was not always punished, the state and superior caste groups did intervene when it came to ensuring that the family was adequately provided for. So there was definitely gender discrimination. Partiality was shown towards men. Okay, so very often the crimes that were committed by men to women were slightly punished or maybe even ignored. But even then, the community made sure that the family is adequately provided for. Okay, although these kinds of partiality and discrimination existed, still, as a family setup, it was community's job to make sure that the male person provided for the entire family. Okay, in most cases, when women petitioned to the panchayat, their names were excluded from the record. Petitioners were referred to as mother, sister, wife, etc., etc., etc. Rather than giving their names, they used to give the titles associated with males. Okay, so we can see clearly how the situation of women was in that particular time period. Even now, there are many drawbacks still we face in the society, and we can we hope to overcome all these things. Anyway, amongst the landed gentry, women had the right to inherit property. So those if the family head owned a land on its own, then his daughter can inherit that land from him. That right of inheritance for women were very much there even in the medieval India. Hindu and Muslim women inherited zamindaris which they were free to sell or mortgage. Okay, the daughters of zamindars, irrespective of the religion, they also inherited family property and they had the right to sell it or say mortgage it or whatever. Okay, it was actually individual property and so they can do anything with it. Okay, forests and tribes beyond settled villages. So far we looked into the agricultural economy, the society, how the classifications were, how this stratification and discrimination in the society was prevalent, so and so. Now we are going to see what happened in the forests. I told you at the beginning, because of the agricultural expansion, more and more forest land was brought into agriculture. Okay, so this actually affected the life of forest dwellers. The tribal people who lived in the forest were severely affected by the expansion of agriculture. Huge swaths of forests, also known as the dense forest. In India, it is known as the jungle or scrubland, also known as the kharbandi, okay, existed in the medieval times in India. Lion's share of Indian subcontinent was under the forest cover. Okay, an average of 40%. I mean, we do not have any census or anything at that particular time period. Right now, we have forest census. Okay, at those times, we did not have that. So, based on some available materials, available resources, historians have arrived at a conclusion that around 40% of India was under forest. And the people in the forest, people who lived in the forest, they were known as jungli. Okay, the contemporary textbooks used to refer to these tribal people as jungli. But in modern day, if we use the word jungli, it means lack of civilization. Okay, I mean, we call it as a negative term. Okay, but in these textbooks, they are not meant as a negative term. They are simply terms used to refer to people who lived in jungles. So jungli, that's it. Nothing more. And the main occupation of these people were hunting and shifting agriculture. Okay, hunting, obviously, yes, they are forest dwellers, so they will hunt forest animals for their subsistence. That is there. Along with that, shifting agriculture, also known as jamming, okay, was practiced by these forest dwellers. What is shifting agriculture? I hope you all know. They will conduct agriculture at a particular, they will find a forest patch, they will cut down the trees there, burn the residues into ashes, then this land will become fertile. They will cultivate this piece of land for a long time. And after that, once the land loses the fertility, they will move to another patch of the forest, again repeat the same process. This is known as jamming or the shifting agriculture, also known as slash and burn agriculture. Okay, so this was practiced by the forest dwellers in medieval period. Clear? For the state, the forest was a subversive place. We have references from the Mughal courts where Babur says that forest is a very nasty place because all the criminals who conducts various criminal activities in the cities, they often escape into the forest. It is very hard to go into the forest and catch a criminal. Okay, because of the dense nature of the forest, it is very much difficult to do it. Okay, so all the criminals in the medieval periods used to escape into the depths of these forests. We have many evidences of various Mughal rulers often mentioning about these events. Clear? Inroads into forests. So state required elephants for army. So inroads into the forest means why are we actually moving into the forest? Okay, what are the necessities of forests? So predominantly the main aim for the state as far as forest is concerned is to increase agricultural land as well as to achieve many goods that are necessary for battle. Okay, especially resources such as elephants. So elephants were a part of the Mughal imperial army and not just Mughals, almost all the medieval Indian kings, even ancient India, elephants were used as a part of army. Okay, so the peshkash levied on the forest people often included a supply of elephants. Peshkash is something like a tax. Okay, so this tax is also it also included a supply of elephants. Along with paying this tax in the form of some other goods, they also has to supply the emperor or the king with a particular number of elephants. Okay, also kings used to conduct hunting expeditions deep into the forests. This enabled the emperor to travel across the extensive territories of his empire and personally attend to the grievances of his inhabitants. This is also correct. Emperor went into the forest. He conducted various hunting expeditions. Some of these were conducted in order to prevent wild animals from encroaching into agricultural lands and destroying the crops. Okay, and some of them were conducted to kill a particularly savage wild animals. For example, there are man-eaters like tigers, etc., which often comes into the villages and attacks the people there. So kings used to conduct these kinds of hunting expeditions often to prevent such mishaps. Okay, also once more and more forests started to come under cultivation or agriculture, it led to the emergence of commercial agriculture. So more agriculture, more produce, more profit. Okay, so rather than subsistence, the view or the perspective changed into commercialization of agriculture. For forest products such as honey, beeswax, glumlac, all these were also very much in demand in other nations, other countries, other parts of the world. Okay, so not just agriculture, but the minor forest produce, major forest produce such as timber is also very much important. Okay, so forest is actually an abundance of all these resources, and these were actually exploited by the medieval Indian rulers for achieving more and more profit. Okay, so just like villages and just like urban areas, forest areas also people were organized. These tribals had their own tribal assemblies, tribal chiefs, etc., their own customs and their own rules, and so on and so on. Best example is the Ahom kings in Assam. Okay, Ahom kings they were actually a tribal group. They actually employed a tribal group known as Paiks. Have you heard about this Khurda rebellion or the Paika rebellion? It is basically this one only. Ahom kings used the Paika tribes as their militia. Okay, so these tribes were used to serve the Ahom kings. So people who were obliged to render military service in exchange for land. These are the Paikas. Very important. Paika rebellion. If you do not know about it, please read about it. Very important. New cultural influences also began to penetrate forest zones. So once the forest rural area and urban area all started coming in contact with each other, their cultures began to merge. Okay, so amalgamation of cultures and rise of some new cultures are all part of this kind of relationship or this kind of intermingling. Okay, zamindars. This zamindars. Okay, 1 second, guys. Let me see how many slides are there, and so accordingly I have to plan. Okay, yeah, fine. So I can start the quiz at like 5:30, 5:35. Okay, I mean, because of that, a small internet mishap in the middle, I got lagged a bit. Okay, anyway, moving on. Zamindars. Zamindars who were landed proprietors who also enjoyed certain social and economic privileges by virtue of their superior social status. So society was very much hierarchical in many ways. So zamindars were people who had a huge land under their control. Okay, so sometimes they will cultivate in these lands on their own. Sometimes they will cultivate these lands using tenants and other immigrated agriculturists or farmers or whatever. Okay, so these zamindars were all in all very much influential and played a crucial part in the society. Clear? Caste was one factor that accounted for the elevation of the status of zamindars. Another factor was that they performed certain services for the state. Okay, so why are these zamindars very important? Okay, what is actually causing that distinction between a zamindar and a ordinary cultivator? One is caste. Caste system was very rigid in the medieval society that if you are born in a good caste, automatically you get, by good caste I mean according to them, okay, not in the prevalent notion, but in the medieval society some castes were considered as superior and some castes were considered as inferior. So if you are born in a superior caste, then you automatically get that kind of a status in the society, irrespective of everything else. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why zamindars got so much social influence. Another factor is that because of their economical status, they often were very much in close relationship with the ruling class of the society. Okay, so zamindars used to provide some kind of important services to the rulers, and such services were known as khidmats. Okay, remember these terms, khidmats. So they held extensive personal lands termed as milkiyat. Okay, so a zamindar will have a huge tract of land all on his own, and such lands which were held by them are known as milkiyat and cultivated for the private use for zamindars. They could sell it, they could bequeath it, they could mortgage it, they could do whatever they want with it. It was like a private property, privately owned property. They can do whatever with it. Okay, also zamindars had a very much a good control over some military resources. Okay, they had their own fortresses, also known as kilachas, as well as an armed contingent comprising of cavalry, artillery, infantry, etc. So these zamindars also kept a very small military unit with them always, with proper defense structures such as fortresses. So whenever the king goes to war, he will call upon all these zamindars to come with their army. A central army is assembled. The king will obviously have a standing army. Along with that, these armies are also amalgamated. Clear? So this is how the zamindars worked in the medieval system. But the process of zamindari consolidation was actually a very slow process. Okay, so it all started by colonization of new lands. So forests were cut down to expand agriculture, and this expansion into the forest land, this was actually done by rich classes of the society rather than peasants or poorer sections. So it started by colonization of new lands, by transfer of rights. Okay, you can sell this land, right? You can sell this, you can mortgage it, etc., etc. So those people who want money, or those people who are forced to sell their lands because of their condition, they will sell it to these zamindars who obviously are in a very good financial capacity to buy it. Okay, then by the order of state and by purchase, all these things actually led to the widening of the gap between the zamindars and the peasants. Zamindars kept on becoming more and more prominent, more and more wealthy, while the poorer sections of the society became more and more poor. They started losing their land to zamindars. Okay, eventually they became more or less like a slave to the zamindars. They were tenants, having no kind of rights. Clear? Zamindars used to oppress them. Zamindars and zamindaris were bought and sold quite briskly, already explained. Zamindars spearheaded the colonization of agricultural land and helped in settling cultivators by providing them with means of cultivation, including cash loans. So zamindars also acted as a, what can we say, maybe a kind of a loaner or a bank, maybe. Okay, they used to provide the peasants with the tools to work, some the seeds, etc., some irrigation structures, so and so. Okay, in return, the tenant will work in that particular piece of land for the zamindar, and the zamindar can earn more and more profit. This is also something that we see quite common in the medieval times. Zamindars often established markets to which peasants also came to sell their products. Okay, so not only that they were very much into the production area, zamindars also were very much influential in the marketing area, marketing region. They often conducted various fairs and haats. Haats means markets, where everyone can flock in and sell their goods. Okay, I think you know about these village haats, where people from adjacent villages, etc., come together and sell their products. These were also organized by the zamindars. Okay, relationship with the peasantry had an element of reciprocity, paternalism, and patronage. So this was not always oppression. Okay, some kind of positivity also existed in this relationship. The Bhakti saints, who eloquently condemned caste-based and other forms of oppression, did not portray the zamindars as exploiters. So this is a area of contention. Okay, although we have evidences that there were many oppressive zamindars, the Bhakti saints who usually wrote against the caste hierarchy and caste domination, etc., they never pictured the zamindars as oppressors. Why, we do not know. But then we have to understand the fact that they did not write against the moneylenders either. Moneylenders also used to oppress the poor people a lot, but they were also actually ignored by the Bhakti saints. Similarly, agrarian uprisings which erupted in the North India, zamindars often received the support of peasantry in these struggles. If all the zamindars were oppressive, then the peasants should be attacking them, right? Peasants should be against the zamindars. But we see that in almost all the peasant uprisings in the northern Indian region, zamindars were often supported by the peasants. Okay, so these are some contradictions and confusions that the historians face while looking into the medieval Indian zamindari setup. Okay, land revenue system. So already, as I have explained, the major source of revenue in the Mughal period was the land. Okay, land was the major source of revenue. Agricultural revenue, land revenue, etc., and it was the duty of a particular person known as Diwan, or the office of Diwan, known as the Daftar, was responsible for supervising the fiscal system of the empire. It is his duty to make sure that the taxes are properly collected, properly tabulated, etc., There are two stages in tax collection. One is assessment. You have to properly assess how much tax is to be collected. Number two, actual collection. You have to go there and collect it and make sure that the correct amount is being collected. That is, these are the two phases. Okay, so Jama was the amount assessed as opposed to Hasil, the amount collected. Very important terms, please don't forget. Jama is the assessed amount and Hasil is the collected amount. This often varies. Okay, for example, say the royal revenue assessors went into a village and assessed a particular amount to be collected as tax. Okay, say 1000 gold coins. This is or say 1000 silver coins. This is the tax to be collected. But very soon some calamity happened, heavy rain, or say some earthquake or landslide or whatever. Then entire crop is destroyed. So when the tax collector goes there, he cannot collect the entire thing. The emperor might reduce the tax or something like that. So he will be collecting only maybe 100 silver coins. So the first one, the assessed amount is known as Jama and the collected amount is known as Hasil. Okay, don't forget these two terms, very important. So in his list of duties, the Amil Guzar or the revenue collector, Akbar decreed that while he should strive to make cultivators pay in cash, it can also be paid in kind. Okay, according to Akbar's administration, which is the most important one to study in the Mughal era, these taxes can be collected in two ways. Either by cash or as kind, which means the harvest or the goods. Either way, the Mughal officials can collect it, preferably cash. Okay, both options are there, but cash is preferable. Both cultivated and cultivable lands were measured in each province. Okay, those lands which are already cultivated as well as those lands which have the potential to be cultivated. Though these two were measured by the Mughal, revenue officers and properly tabulated. So you can see a beautiful map here showing the expansion of the reign during various Mughal kings. Babur is the first one that is shown in by the dark red color. Then you have Akbar, who have consolidated a much bigger region, and finally the yellowish dots show the additional areas that were brought into the Mughal kingdom by Aurangzeb. Okay, you can look at this chart in the NCERT textbook and have an idea about Mughal dynasty. Flow of silver. So just because this agriculture expansion happened in India, and in the production started to increase, because of the artisanal works that were increasing, etc., etc., India became a very major exporting country in the medieval period. Okay, India began to become a very important exporter of various goods. There were about 4 empires all across the world which were actually very powerful. Number 1, the Mughals. Mughals in India, number 1. Number 2, the Ming dynasty of China. 3, Safavids of Iran. And 4, the Ottomans of Turkey. These were the 4 prominent countries in the Asian continent of Asia. Okay, so various kinds of trading relationship existed between all these nations, between all these nations as well as to other countries. For example, Silk Route. Silk Route extended all the way from China to Mediterranean Sea. Okay, this was one of the prominent trade routes in medieval, in the ancient as well as medieval era. This is one. Similarly, such other kinds of routes, say spice route, which often connected various parts of India to Middle East and other countries, Europe, so and so. Voyages of discovery and opening up of the new world. This is something that we see specific for this period. Many people, many seafarers actually went on for expeditions and adventure trips where they often, found various new kinds of continents or new kinds of land masses, etc., etc. So this is actually an era when we start to discover the world as it is. Okay, I think you already know that Earth was considered to be a very flat disk kind of thing, and eventually we started understanding that Earth is a round figure, etc., etc. One of the prominent reasons for this discovery was the travels of people like Ferdinand Magellan, who actually traveled across the around the globe. Okay, so all these voyages and discoveries started coming up around this era. Expansion in the commodity composition of this trade. Because of the diversity in agriculture, the commodities that were exported also began to become very much diverse, and it began to become more and more enhanced. Huge amounts of silver bullions came to Asia. Because of all these exports, lots and lots of silver from all across the world came into Asia. Understand that India does not have a silver reserve of its own. We do not have any silver mines in India. Okay, so silver coming into India in exchange for all these produce actually was in favor of Indian economy. This is how we got the lion's crux of our silver. Okay, because we do not have any silver mines in India. The Anyakbari and Abul Fazl. This is the last section of today's class. Okay, Anyakbari. After this, I am going to start the quiz straight away. I am sorry for the small delay that happened. It is because of the network issue that occurred in between. But only 2 more slides and we are done. This is about Anyakbari, very important. Please make sure you read the textbook, class 12 textbook while you study this particular thing. Okay, Anyakbari of Abul Fazl. Anyakbari is actually completed in the year 1598. Okay, and this is also the 42nd regnal year of the emperor. 42nd regnal year means what? Akbar's rule started 42 years ago. Okay, on completion of the 42nd year of his rule, Anyakbari was also completed by Abul Fazl. Okay, but this book is actually a part of a bigger book. Okay, the original textbook that was commissioned by Akbar for Abul Fazl to write is known as Akbarnama. Okay, and Akbarnama had 3 parts, 3 volumes. First 2 volumes are, deals with something else. We will look into that soon. Okay, and the third part is known as Anyakbari. Anyakbari deals with organization of the court, administration of the army, sources of revenue and physical layout of province of Akbar's empire, literary, cultural and religious traditions of people. So basically, administration, society, economy, all these things are given in Anyakbari. That is the third part of Akbarnama. Again, as I have mentioned in the first slide, the main issue with Anyakbari is that it is written by somebody who is in the higher classes of the society. So the perspective taken in Anyakbari is closely associated with the top, the elite classes. It does not look at this medieval India from the poor man's eyes. Okay, so this is the limitation of Anyakbari. Clear? This Anyakbari is actually again divided into 5 books, also known as daftars. Okay, of which the first 3 books describe the administration. Okay, Anyakbari is actually a part of the Akbarnama, and Anyakbari is again divided into 5 books, of which the first 3 deals with administration. So the first book is known as Manzil Abadi. Okay, and this deals with imperial household and its maintenance. Imperial household means palace. Okay, palace and its maintenance. Second one is known as Sippa Abadi, and this deals with military and civil administration and the establishment of servants. Okay, military and civil administration and the establishment of servants. The third book, known as Mulk Abadi, deals with the fiscal side of empire and provides rich quantitative information about revenue rates, followed by the accounts of 12 provinces. Okay, so regarding the economy, regarding the fiscal and monetary developments in the Mughal Empire during the time of Akbar's reign, it is written in the Mulk Abadi, or the third subdivision of Anyakbari. Okay, so first deals with imperial household and maintenance, second deals with civil and military administration, and the third deals with the fiscal side. And the fourth and fifth, these 2 textbooks together deals with religion and literary culture, etc., etc. Okay, so first 3 books deals with the administration, and the last 2 books deals with religion, culture, so and so. Clear? But when historians studied this Anyakbari, where all the data are very well tabulated, they found that there were many numerical errors. Okay, I mean, the people who might have assisted Abul Fazl to write this have committed lots and lots of arithmetic errors. We found some addition errors, subtraction errors, etc., etc. Okay, but even then, this book is of very high quality because the data has been collected very well to prepare this book. Okay, but one fundamental flaw in the collection of data was that the sample taken was not that much good. It is very skewed in nature. What does this mean? This means that sometimes the exposure was too much into a particular section of the society, neglecting somebody else. Okay, they will collect the data from say 10 households. If they are collecting data from 10 households, then it has to be extremely random. Okay, if you cannot go to a very high section of the society and collect data from them, ignoring all other sections. Clear? So Anyakbari was actually skewed, which means the collection of data that they conducted was not random enough to arrive at a generalized conclusion. Okay, while the fiscal data from the Subhas is remarkable for its richness, some equally vital parameters such as prices and wages from these same areas were not well documented. This is another drawback. Okay, some of the parameters were well written, well recorded, but some other important things were actually missed or neglected or not enough provided for. Okay, so these are the drawbacks of Anyakbar: numerical errors, skewed nature, and neglecting some of the important parameters. Clear? Because of these errors, the historians have used some other evidences, some other textual evidences, such as the East India Company's records, such as the records from Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, etc., etc. All these were also considered while reading the Anyakbari. So together with all these records, they managed to create the story of medieval India. Okay, so this is the end of section 4 of your NCERT Standard 12 textbook. One more lecture is there in this particular textbook that will happen on Monday. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow I do not have class. Monday I will take that lesson and this textbook is completed. Okay, Tuesday onwards we will start the part 3 of this textbook, and it will be completed in a week, and by that the entire NCERT history will be finished. Okay, so that is it, guys. Thank you everybody for joining. This is actually the 4th chapter. 5th chapter, the last one, I think that deals with what? Mughals. Okay, the final chapter is, I think it is dealing with Mughals. That will be taken on Monday. Okay, so that is it. Let's begin the quiz. It is already very late. I am sorry for that. I am going to put up the quiz code. I request everyone to open the Unacademy learning app and participate in this quiz. Okay, the quiz code is 157232. Please do join the quiz. Let me just set this up. I will start the quiz in 2 minutes. Everybody kindly join the quiz as fast as you can. It's already very late. Okay. Niggamu idea. This was the 4th chapter. Monday Mughals, the 5th chapter. Yeah, let me just set this up. 1 second, guys. Because of that network issue, I had some. Okay, the quiz has been set up. I request all of you to join as fast as you can. Nikamu, I told you, right? I mean, yesterday I told you I am taking the 4th chapter. Okay, I did not know the name of this chapter. I told you yesterday it was lecture 3, section 3. I told you that obviously the next chapter will be taken today. Okay, that is done today. That is agriculture. I talked about agricultural economy today, and the 5th chapter will be taken Monday, next series. I am following the text order only. The chapter order only I am following. The 12th standard NCERT textbook, history, same chapter order I am following here as well. So today I took the 4th chapter. 5th chapter will be taken on Monday. Okay, I am starting the quiz now. Yes. So in order to join this quiz, kindly download Unacademy learning app and click on the test button as shown in the figure in here, and click the join quiz button and enter the quiz code 157232. Okay, so first question, which of the following pollutants are present in the motor vehicle exhaustion emissions? 1. Carbon dioxide, 2. Carbon monoxide, 3. Ozone, 4. Hydrocarbons. Choose the correct answer. Okay, yeah, 5 seconds remaining, guys. Please don't forget, I am taking this history textbooks according to the chapter order only. Okay, you can refer to the NCERT 12th standard textbook and you can identify which chapter I will be taking. It will be in the text order only. Okay, I request you to join this quiz using the app and not via YouTube. Okay, second question. Consider the following statements with respect to the Great Barrier Reef radent that was recently in news. 1. It is the first mammal believed to have gone extinct mainly due to human-induced climate change. 2. It was found only on a small sand island near the coast of Papua New Guinea. Choose the correct answer. So we have completed the theory session for the day. Now we are actually looking at the second part of this session, that is the quiz on environment and ecology. Okay, and this is actually conducted in the Unacademy learning app. So please join this quiz using the Unacademy learning app. Okay. Question number 3 coming up. Which of the following reasons does not correctly explains why ozone depletion is predominant at the Antarctic? A. Antarctic stratosphere is much colder. B. The longevity of Antarctic vertex. C. Emission of more ozone depleting substance in the southern hemisphere. And D. All the above. Okay, third question is on the board. Guys, also understand that Unacademy offers you a lot of free stuffs. Okay, not just everything is not paid. Some of them are actually free for you. For example, some of my classes in the unacademy.com/@MSW. Go to this link and you can see a lot of free classes there. Make sure to use it pretty well. There are other educators also takes a lot of classes in Unacademy platform, which is actually free. All our YouTube classes are free. Okay, you can watch them also. Question number 4. Consider the following statements regarding National Biodiversity Authority, NBA. 1. It is headed by Union Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change. 2. It advises both the central and state governments on issues of conservation, sustainable use and access and benefit sharing. 3. Any Indian researcher intending to obtain biological resources for conducting research in India requires prior approval of the NBA. Four questions down. Vishnu has joined. Fifth question, which of the following is or are correct with reference to the Cartagena Biodiversity Protocol, Biosafety Protocol, okay, Cartagena Biosafety Protocol, CPB. 1. It was negotiated under the aegis of Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD. 2. It aims to ensure safer transfer and use of living modified organisms resulting from modern biotechnology. 3. India is a party to this protocol. Choose the correct answer. Okay, fifth question, going on. There are 45 questions more to go. Correct answer 80% getting it. Very good. Sola Rajan has also joined. Thank you, Sola. Question number 6. Consider the following statements with reference to Environment Protection Act 1986. 1. Act empowers the central government to coordinate actions of state governments and lay down standards for the quality of environment. 2. National park, sanctuaries, tiger reserves and biosphere reserves are set up by Government of India under this act. Choose the correct answer. Question number 6 is on the board. Last 5 seconds. Yep. A is the correct answer. 25% getting it. Very good. Moving on to our next question. Question number 7. Which of the following statements is or are correct regarding the pied cuckoo bird? Okay. 1. It is one of the few species that migrate to India in the winter season. Number 2. The bird is primarily arboreal and mostly lives on trees. Select the correct answer. Okay, today's theory session is over. We are doing the quiz part, that is regarding environment. Okay, if you would like to participate in this quiz, kindly join the quiz using Unacademy Learning app. Okay, download the app, click on the test tab here, hit the join quiz button and enter this quiz code 157232. Yes, B is the correct answer. Very good. Srisandal Devi is at the top right now. Moving to our 8th question. Freshwater organisms attached or clinging to plants and other objects projecting above the bottom sediments is called as dash. Okay, freshwater organisms attached or clinging to plants and other objects projecting above the bottom sediments is known as dash. Option A, Newston. Option B, Nekton. Option C, Periphyton. Option D, Zooplankton. Time's up. Yes, correct answer option C. Very good. 40% getting it. Very fighting. Okay. Yeah. Vishnu is on the top now. 241 points. 9. With reference to ultraviolet radiation of the sun, consider the following statements. 1. UV radiation of wavelengths longer than UVB are completely absorbed by Earth's ozone layer. 2. UVB causes skin cancer and snow blindness. 3. Montreal Protocol is concerned with controlling the emissions of ozone depleting substances. Which of the above statements is or are correct? Okay, 9th question. We have 41 questions more to go. Please join this quiz using Unacademy learning app. Okay, this is actually not happening in YouTube. Please participate using the Unacademy learning app. The quiz code is given here. You can enter this code in the app. And if you have any queries on how to participate, you can ask me in the YouTube live chat and I will get back to you. Question 10. Which of the following statements is correct about harmful algal blooms or HABs? 1. HABs occur when colonies of algae grow out of control while producing toxic or harmful effects on the people. 2. Major factors influencing HAB events include warm ocean surface temperatures, high salinity, and very low nutrient content. Choose the correct answer. Okay, this is regarding the harmful algal blooms. Choose the correct answer. Yeah, time is up. Correct answer is question number 10. Correct answer is option A. 20% of you got that right. Very good. Moving to our 11th question. What are the reasons for the people's resistance to the introduction of Bt brinjal in India? 1. Bt brinjal has been created by inserting a gene from a soil fungus into its genome. 2. The seeds of Bt brinjal are terminator seeds and therefore the farmers have to buy the seeds before every season from the seed companies. 3. There is an apprehension that the consumption of Bt brinjal may have an adverse impact on health. And 4. There is some concern that the introduction of Bt brinjal may have an adverse effect on biodiversity. Easy question. Correct answer is option C. Nobody got that but. Twelfth question. Which one of the following groups of animals belongs to the category of endangered species? Option A. Great Indian bustard, musk deer, red panda, Asiatic wild ass. 2. Kashmir stag, cheetal, blue bull, and Great Indian bustard. 3. Snow leopard, swamp deer, rhesus monkey, and sarus crane. And D. Lion-tailed macaque, blue bull, Hanuman langur, and cheetal. Endangered species, okay? Time's up. Correct answer is option A. 25% got that. Very good. So Solarajan got that. Correct. Very good. 13th question. Consider the following statements about India State of Forest Report 2019. ISFR is an annual publication of Forest Survey of India under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. 2. Maharashtra has had the highest increase in tree cover and a large part of that is due to horticulture. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? Yeah, time is up. B correct answer. Nobody get that. Moving to our next question, 14. Consider the following statements about Great Green Wall that was recently in the news. 1. It will be built through the width of Africa from Dakar to Djibouti. 2. The aim is to combat climate change and desertification. 3. India is going to make its own green wall in the Western Ghats, given its richness in biodiversity. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer to that question is option A again. 15th question. Consider the following statements about Wood in Good campaign. Number 1. It was launched by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Number 2. Purpose of the campaign is to promote wood as an eco-friendly resource. Select the correct answer. Wood is Good campaign, okay? Yep, time's up. Correct answer to that question was option C. 50% of you got that. (16) Which of the following Indian sites have been designated as wetlands of international importance under the Ramsar Convention? 1. Shastangota Lake. 2. Surinsar Mansar Lake. 3. Vembanadu Wetland. 4. Rangdum Wetlands. Okay, Ramsar site, okay. Option A, 50% got that. 1, 2 and 3. Rangdum is not there, okay. 17. Which of the following is or are the carbon market based trading schemes? 1. The Perform, Achieve and Trade (PAT), Compensatory Afforestation (CA), Renewable Energy Certificate (REC), and National Action Plan on Climate Change (NAPCC). Choose the correct answer. So learners who are watching in the YouTube, kindly understand that this quiz is actually happening in the Unacademy learning app. Okay, I have already completed the theory classes for today and we are actually now in the second part of the session, that is the quiz session. And the quiz is conducted using the Unacademy learning app. I request all of you to participate using the app. Go to the app, click the test button here and hit the join quiz button and enter the code 157232. Okay, 18th question on the board. Consider the following statements about Climate Change Performance Index 2020. 1. It is an independent monitoring tool for tracking the climate protection performance of countries. 2. Climate Change Performance Index is published by the IPCC. 3. The index covers all the members of countries of WTO. Choose the correct statements. Okay, let me tell you again, please participate in this quiz using the Unacademy learning app. Okay, download the app from Google Play or App Store and under the test button hit the join quiz tab and enter the code 157232. You also can participate. This is absolutely free. All you need is the app. Okay, the participants will get the detailed answer key in written form in the app itself. Okay. Question number 19. Which statement best describes the term bioprospecting? Okay. First statement. It is the search for biochemical and genetic information in nature to develop commercially valuable products. B. It is the use of gene alteration method to make microorganisms effective against insects and mites. C. It is the systematic use of non-active flora and fauna in other places to increase biodiversity. And D, it is the process of absorbing excess carbon dioxide from atmosphere using metallic compounds. Option A correct. 50% getting it. Okay, today the quiz is very close. Nobody is getting a commendable lead or anything. 20. This national park lies between the confluence of Bonas and the Chambal rivers. They are famous for their large banyan trees and it enshrines a medieval fort. The park is best spot to view Bengal tigers? Which is this park? Bandhavgarh National Park, Ranthambore National Park, Bharatpur National Park, Sariska National Park. Twentieth question. Yep, time's up. Correct answer is option B. Very good. Sri Sindhil Devi taking the lead there. 21. Consider the following statements with respect to uranium contamination in groundwater. 1. Primary source of uranium is granite, which is common in Himalayan range. 2. The anthropogenic factors such as overexploitation of groundwater for agricultural irrigation and nitrate pollution due to overuse of nitrogenous fertilizers have further enhanced uranium mobilization. Select the correct answer. And the answer is, option C, correct answer. Nobody got that. (22) Consider the following statements in the context of Basel Convention. 1. Recently, Croatia became the first country to ratify the ban which was adopted by the parties to the Basel Convention. 2. To implement and restrict the trade of hazardous waste between European Union and African countries, an organization is formed which is known as Basel Action Network, or BAN. Select the correct answer. Last 5 seconds. Time is up. Correct answer is option D. Okay. Moving to our next question. 23. A climax community is an ecosystem. In an ecosystem, shows which of the following characteristics? 1. Vegetation is tolerant to environmental conditions. 2. When compared to the intermediate community, it has more diverse and complex food web. Number 3. Individuals in the climax stage are replaced by others of the same kind. Choose the correct answer. Okay, nobody got that correct. (24) Which of the following food chain mostly follows a detritus pathway? 1. Oligotropic lake. 2. Mangrove ecosystem. 3. Tropical evergreen forest. Select the correct answer. B, correct answer. Very good. (25) Consider the following assertion and reason statements. Assertion: seagrasses have undergone a considerable decline in the last few decades. Reason: destruction of seabed habitat by coastal developments such as dredging and port installation. Simple question, very direct question, very common sense question. Okay, I think all of you will get this right. Very much logical. So take your time and give the correct answer, please. Time is up. Yeah, correct answer option A, 75% got it. Very good. Sri Sandhil Devi at the first place, Seema Sethi at the second place. Cancer forest disease KFD has been in the news recently. In this regard, consider the following statements. 1. The disease is named after forests located in Andhra Pradesh. 2. Rodents, shrews and monkeys are common hosts for KFD viruses. 3. It is a disease caused by bacteria and protozoa. Which of these statements given above is or are correct? Cancer forest disease. I think I have taken a class in this particular topic. Yeah, actually I did. Okay. Please go back and watch it. Option B, correct answer 67%. The 27. Consider the following statements regarding the pyramid of biomass in terrestrial ecosystem. 1. In pyramid of biomass for terrestrial ecosystems, the biomass generally increases at each higher tropical level. 2. The level with the least biomass is the highest predators in the food chain, such as foxes and eagles. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? th question. Yep, option B, correct answer. 33% getting that. '28. Consider the following statements regarding dugongs. 1. Dugong is a medium-sized marine mammal. 2. They are carnivorous and mainly rely on small fish and crabs. 3. The absence of dugongs could have a profound effect on the marine environment. Select the correct statements. Option D is the correct answer. '29. Consider the following statements regarding National Plan for Conservation of Aquatic Ecosystem (NPCA). 1. It was launched by merging National Lake Conservation Plan and National Wetland Conservation Program. 2. It was launched as a central sector scheme. Select the correct answer. Dear learners, kindly download the Unacademy learning app from Google Play or App Store. This is absolutely free. Okay, download the app, click the test button as shown in the diagram here and hit the join quiz button. And when you are asked to enter a code, you can give this 157232. This is how you also can participate in the Unacademy app live quizzes. Okay. The A is the correct answer, 25% getting it. '30th question. Consider the following statements regarding climate sensitivity. Climate sensitivity is the ability of living organisms to tolerate a certain threshold of increase in temperature due to climate change. 2. In the absence of any additional feedbacks, climate sensitivity would be approximately 0.25 degrees Celsius for each additional watt per square meter of radiative forcing. Choose the correct answer. What is climate sensitivity? A very common term that is often seen in the news. So what is the technical definition of this term? Yes, correct answer is indeed option B, but no one got that unfortunately. '31. Zero tillage has been in the news recently. Consider the following statements about zero tillage. 1. It increases the use of chemical herbicides and pesticides. 2. Soil erosion is almost eliminated through no-till farming. Choose the correct answer. Okay, so the Unacademy app live quiz is going on. I have already completed today's theory classes. So this is the second part of this session, that is environment quiz. So please join this quiz using the Unacademy learning app. Download the app, click the test tab as shown in the diagram and hit the join quiz button and provide the code 157232 so that you also can participate. Okay. Yeah, currently Sri Sindhu Devi is leading the quiz with 713 points. Second place for Seema and third place for Vishnu. 32. Which of the following statements is or are correct regarding phosphorus cycle? 1. The weathering of rocks is the main source of phosphorus in the cycle. 2. Most of the phosphorus circulates in the atmosphere as at normal temperature and pressure. Phosphorus and its compounds are gases. 3. It is one of the slowest biogeochemical cycles in the earth. Choose the correct answer. Okay, this is a very theoretical question from environment. If you have studied the Shankar environment textbook, you will get the answer. Very straightforward question. 32nd question. Time's up. Correct answer is indeed option A. Okay, very good. 50% of you got that correct. Moving on to our next question, 33. Which of the following statements is or are correct regarding the comparison between food chain and a food web? Very simple question. Statement number 1. A food web indicates all possible transfer of energy and nutrients among the organisms in an ecosystem, whereas a food chain traces only one pathway of the food. 2. Food web increases the stability of the ecosystem, whereas separate food chain is prone to instability. 3. Both do not have any effect on improving the adaptability and competitiveness of the organism. Select the correct answer. Dear learners who are watching this quiz in YouTube, kindly participate in this quiz using the Unacademy learning app. Okay. First correct answer is option A. Very good. So all you have to do is download the Unacademy learning app from Google Play or App Store and click this test button here and hit the join quiz tab and provide the code 157232. That's it. You also can join. This is absolutely free. So please do join the quiz using the app. 34. With respect to terrestrial ecosystem in India, consider the following statements. 1. Ebony, mahogany and rosewood are the main trees in tropical rainforest. 2. We find teak, sal and sandalwood in tropical deciduous forest. 3. Lichen and mosses can be found in the desert vegetation. 4. Shirpine, oak and maple belongs to alpine vegetation. Choose the correct answer. Yep, correct answer to that question was option C. (35) Which of the following statements is or are correct regarding tropical evergreen forests? 1. The trees of these forests are called evergreen as they never shed their leaves. 2. The trees in tropical evergreen forests are hardwood trees with great heights. 3. They occupy about 40% of Earth's land surface and harbors more than half of world's plant and animals. Select the correct answer using the codes given below. 35th question. Yeah, time's up. Correct answer was option C. Very good. Dear learners, kindly participate in this quiz using the Unacademy learning app. Okay. This is not happening in the YouTube screen. This is happening in the app. So I request all of you to shift to Unacademy learning app. 36th question. A lichen is an organism that results from a mutualistic relationship between a fungus and a photosynthetic organism. Its maximum diversity is found in which of the following parts of India? A. Northwestern Himalayas. B. Bangalore, Mysore tableland. C. Western Ghats, Eastern Himalayas and Western Himalayas. and D. Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So in order to participate, please download the Unacademy Learning app from Google Play or App Store. Then hit this test tab as shown in the diagram, followed by the join quiz button, and provide this code 157232. The participants will get the detailed answer explanation in written form at the end of the test in the app itself. Okay. 37. Consider the following statements regarding pioneer species. 1. These are the species which introduced in an area, invaded the area and destroyed its original habitat. 2. Lichens, bacteria and fungi are examples of pioneer species. Choose the correct answer. Very simple question, very simple question. Thirty-seventh question. Time's up. Yes, correct answer to 37th question was actually option B. 50% of you got that correct. Very good. Saubhagya moving into the third place now. 38. Which of the following statements is or are true about ecotone in environment and ecology? 1. It is a zone of the junction of two or more diverse ecosystems. 2. Both mangrove forest and grasslands are examples of ecotone. 3. Edge effect occurs when the territorial size of ecotone is much larger than the adjacent ones. Choose the correct answer. Okay, so this is a question regarding ecotones. Choose the correct answer. Again, let me remind the YouTube learners, please participate in this quiz using the Unacademy Learning app. Okay, this quiz is actually not happening in the YouTube chat box. It is happening in the Unacademy Learning app. Okay, so please shift to that app and join this quiz. 39. Which of the pollutants given below is or are the secondary air pollutants? 1. Carbon monoxide. 2. Carbon dioxide. 3. Peroxyl acetyl nitrate. 4. Ozone. I have already completed the theory session for the day by 5:30, and this is the second part of the session, that is the quiz. Ten seconds remaining. Yep, time's up. Correct answer to that question is option B. 75% of you getting that right. Very good. Fortieth question. Consider the following descriptions of a species. 1. A species with large area requires for which protection of the species offers protection to other species that share the same habitat. 2. These species can be used to help select the locations of potential reserves. Above descriptions refer to which of the following species? Option A. Keystone species. B. Indicator species. C. Umbrella species. And D. Edge species. So these clues are pointing towards a specific species. Which is it? Yep, time is up. Correct answer is option C. Very good. Some people got that right. Seasonal Devi crossing the 1000 mark there and leading the quiz so far. 41st question. Water hyacinth, a free floating perennial aquatic plant and a weed, can be used for dash. 1. For mulching and effective conservation of soil moisture. 2. As a medicinal herb. 3. The production of biogas from microbial anaerobic decomposition. And select the correct answer using the codes given below. Okay, water hyacinth, a free floating perennial aquatic plant and a weed, can be used for which among the following purposes? Yes, option C is the correct answer. Unfortunately, nobody got that correct. (42) Which of the following is the correct definition of the edge effect? A. A greater diversity of life is found in the region, whereas the two adjacent ecosystem is overlapped. 3. A lesser diversity of life is found in the region where the two adjacent ecosystems overlap. C. A lesser diversity of life is found at some places within an ecosystem. D. A greater diversity of life is found at some places within an ecosystem. Choose the correct answer. Simple question. What is an ecotone? Okay, very direct, very theoretical question. Very good. Forty-third question. Consider the following assertion and reasoning statements. Assertion: the energy pyramid of an ecosystem is always upright and narrows to the top. Reason: the biomass in the upper tropic levels is generally very high as compared to lower tropical levels. Choose the correct answer. Time is up. Yes, and the correct answer is option C. 33% getting it. Moving on to our next question. 44. Arrange the following sectors of India in descending order of their carbon emissions. 1. Electricity generation. 2. Transportation. 3. Industrial processes. 4. Agriculture. Select the correct answer using the codes given below. Okay, once again, this quiz is actually happening in the Unacademy learning app. So I request all the YouTube viewers to join this quiz using the Unacademy learning app. Open the app, click the test button, hit the join quiz tab and give the code 157232. Okay. Yeah, time is up. 44th question, time's up. Correct answer to that question was option B. Nobody got that correct. Sri Sandhil Devi is still the leader, closely followed by Seema Sethi and Saubhagya at second and third positions. 45th question. Consider the following statements regarding acidification of oceans. 1. Acidification of ocean mainly occurs due to the presence of nitrogenous compounds in the atmosphere. 2. Photosynthetic algae and seagrasses may benefit from ocean acidification. 3. Introduction of seagrasses can reduce the impact of acidification. Select the correct answer. A very basic logic question from environment and ecology. I think at least 50% will get this correct. Let's see. Very basic question. Yes, and the time is up. Correct answer to that question was option D. Oh, nobody got that. I wasn't expecting that. Anyway, moving on to our 46th question. Consider the following statements regarding aflatoxins. Okay, statement number 1 says exposure to aflatoxins may lead to an increased risk of liver cancer. 2. People can be exposed to aflatoxins by eating contaminated plant products or by consuming meat or dairy products from animals that ate contaminated feed. 3. Aflatoxins are the toxins that are found in synthetic pesticides and herbicides. Choose the correct answer. So what exactly are these aflatoxins? If you know it, you can get the answer correct. Okay. 46th question. All the participants will get the detailed explanation of the answers along with the answer key in the app itself at the end of this quiz. Okay. So I request anybody who still wishes to join this quiz, please join. We have about only 3 more questions to go, but that doesn't matter. Even if you at least attempt one question, you will get the entire answer key. Okay. Question 47. Consider the following statements regarding National Clean Air Program. 1. It is a 5-year action plan with an aim of 20 to 30% reduction of PM 2.5 and PM 10 concentration by 2024. 2. The program would take 2017 as the base year for comparison of concentration. Choose the correct answer. National Clean Air Program, NCAP. Correct answer option C, 50% getting it. Very good. (48) Regarding species interaction, the term antibiosis refers to what? Option A, interaction in which one organism kills to feed another. B, an interaction which is beneficial for both species where they totally rely on one another. C, an interaction in which one organism is unaffected but the other organism is damaged or killed by chemical reaction or chemical secretion. Option D, an association which is beneficial for both species but it is not essential for their survival. What is antibiosis? Yeah, time is up. Easy question. Correct answer option C, 50% got that. That's nice. Moving on to our 49th question. Which of the following countries has recently passed the Zero Carbon Act? Very easy question. If you have read the news, you know the answer. Zero Carbon Act is passed very recently by which of the following countries? Germany, USA, China, New Zealand. Option A, Germany. Option B, United States of America. Option C, China. Option D, New Zealand. So which among the following countries recently passed the Zero Carbon Act? Okay, we have only one more question after this and the session ends there. Okay, yeah, time is up for the 49th question. And the correct answer is option D. I don't think anybody got that correct. Srisandil Devi is still our leader with 1290 points. Seema Sethi second place. Last question for the day, 50 out of 50. Consider the following statements about ozone. 1. Ozone is a primary pollutant and third most important greenhouse gas after carbon dioxide and methane. 2. Gothenburg Protocol aims to abet acidification, eutrophication and ground level ozone. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? This is the final question for the day. Okay guys, final question going on, last 5 seconds. And that's it, time. Correct answer is option B. 100% of you got that right. That is very good to see. So we have our final standings on the board now with Srisandil Devi at the top in the first place, Seema Sethi at the second place with 972 points and Saubhagya at the third place with 465 points. Congrats to all the winners today. In order to find the solution, all you have to do is to click the solutions tab adjacent to the leaderboard and you can see each and every question once more. Click the arrow adjacent to the question and the solutions are also given in the app itself. Go through them and study well. Okay, so that is it guys. Thank you for joining. This is the end of the session. Please use my code MSRW1 in order to get 10% discount on any Unacademy subscriptions. Also follow me on my Telegram channel t.me/MSRW1 so that you can get all the PDFs and class notes of my classes for free. Okay, so that is it. See you again at 8 PM in the Unacademy app session with the history quiz. Okay, until then, goodbye. See you.